If you found $100 on the street, would you pick it up or keep walking? Of course you take the money. So why do you keep picking winners and not betting on them? That's why I go to MyBookie. It's fast, it's easy, and they pay you when you win. Let's face it, guys, where you're betting is just as important as who you're betting on. So do the smart thing this football season. If you're going to bet with MyBookie. Did you know you could bet on games after kickoff? If by the second half it looks like you're going to lose your bet, you can always just take the other side at MyBookie. Join now and MyBookie will double your first deposit. Use promo code Detroit100 to activate the offer. That's promo code DETROIT100. Visit mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, you get paid.
Fellas, I want to tell you about a product that can improve your performance in the bedroom. And what better way to improve the quality of your life than to please the woman of your dreams? Blue Chew brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know they work. Blue Chew is the fast and easy solution for any man looking to enhance their performance and step up their game. You don't have to be one of those guys that finishes quickly, or you don't have to be one of those guys that, at the end of the day, regrets not having a great sex life. Blue Chew is prescribed online and shipped straight to your door in a discreet package, so no in-person doctor's visit, no waiting in the pharmacy, and best of all, no more awkwardness. They're made in the USA, and since Blue Chew prepares and ships direct, they're cheaper than a pharmacy. Right now, we've got a special deal for our listeners. Visit BlueChew.com and get your first shipment free when you use our special promo code DETROIT. All you got to do is pay the $5 shipping and handling fee. Again, that's BlueChew.com, promo code Detroit to try it free. Blue Chew is the better, cheaper, faster choice, and we thank them for sponsoring the podcast.
What's up, Detroit sports fans? Welcome back to the Fan Reporter Show, made by fans for fans, powered by the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I'm Nick, and sitting right across from me is my boy Andrew's going to give us this week's topic.
Coming off a stellar Week 1, Lions fans are riding high in a Week 2's matchup against the formidable Chargers. Sorry, I was testing on my new character, guy who turns the TV off for 3 quarters and doesn't dedicate an entire afternoon to this team. No, in reality, we tied the lowly Cardinals, and it's kind of depressing. Meanwhile, the Pistons are reportedly frontrunners to sign a former All-Star from another red-birded team. I don't know. I tried to make the connection. It's the Fan Report.
You did okay. So we're coming back from our golf weekend, as we mentioned at some point in the past. I was
really hoping. I mean, I don't know about you. I thought watching that game, we're definitely going to be able to have a really optimistic show, optimistic podcast, really get ready for Week 2 on a high note, and then they dashed all our hopes in the fourth quarter.
We actually were so confident we didn't, go into the normal battle mode, the battle station to watch the game like we do in either one of our houses. We ended up going the leisurely route and spending some time up in Traverse City and catching the game at North Peak Brewery.
I mean, it's also a great place to catch the game.
It is. It's not as to sit down and actually watch and analyze the game. You're
no longer analyzing the game when you're watching at the bar.
You're just doing what we did and getting angry and yelling at the TV and embarrassing yourself in front of a crowd of people.
The difference that I found, though, when watching a game at a bar here versus a bar up there, people were not as passionate about the game going on as people down here.
You're further away from the epicenter.
I know, but I relish in the collective anger of the entire bar.
Plus, let's be honest here. A brewery like that isn't necessarily going to attract the biggest sports fans.
But we also went to Seven Monks, which is just a regular
but that's still
house.
Not going to attract your big sports fans either. That's not your typical sports bar. You're not going to see those incredible sports fans or crazy sports fans screaming and yelling at the TV like we are. But you had a couple of them.
It's not like going to Uptown. Uptown's all sports fans.
Uptown is all sports fans, yes. At least during games, yeah.
On the Sundays.
But we still got to enjoy and had a good time watching the game until fourth quarter. Let's go ahead and just get right into our Week 1 recap here. If you were to just look at the stat lines, of each team, it honestly, God, looks like the Lions won this game. Almost 100 yards more than the Cardinals in total yardage. The rushing game, neither one of them was very good. Passing yards, Stafford blew them out of the water. 361 to 275 for the Cardinals. Total yards, obviously, in the Lions' favor. First downs in the Lions' favor, albeit by a couple. Time of possession, which we've said is a big dictator. 39 minutes for the Lions, 30 for the Cardinals. But it wasn't the case. It was it was a half to 3/4 of dominance for the Lions. They showed up. The defense played aggressive. The offense was making the plays they needed to make happen. And then it was just a tale of a fourth quarter where they became bend, don't break.
Yeah.
And they broke a lot. I mean, I believe it was Kyler Murray he was 13 of 15 passing or 16 of 17 passing for almost 200 yards in the fourth quarter alone. And I've seen pictures of the way that the Lions were set up on defense in that fourth quarter. Right at the beginning of it, the corners were 10 yards off the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
That's inexcusable at that point.
Definition of bend don't break.
That, in my opinion, you don't get into that mode until the very end of the game. Very end of the game, when you're trying to stop them from going into a game-winning drive where they need a touchdown to win. You can't just let them march up and down the field repeatedly like that throughout the entire fourth quarter. You got to start playing. I
just don't know why it happened again. Because the Lions are making this new look Cliff Kingsbury offense look.
It was a college offense first off,
but they started making it look like a disaster. Then for some reason they're like, you know what? Let's let off the gas pedal here, and all of a sudden this looked like one of the best offenses in the NFL. They started lighting the world on fire in the second half of the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm. So I want to kind of go through and give some positives and negatives from this game and from the week as a whole. I want to start with the negatives because I like to end on a positive note. One big negative I saw in this game, and then I'll pass it over to you, is the running game. It was absolutely abysmal. And honestly, the Cardinals' defense isn't something I'm exactly scared of. That should have been a defense that they could have run on. It should have been a defense that they were able to make plays. Kerryon Johnson, 16 carries for 49 yards. That's an average of 3.1. Was never even able to break a double-digit length run. The only player on the Lions who broke a run of more than 10 yards was Stafford. C.J. Anderson, 11 for 35. That's 3.2. Not much better. That type of production out of your rushing offense is not going to force the defense to put an extra man into coverage, because there's no or put an extra man in the box. Sorry, there's no need to. You're not going to have the defense exactly scared of you, and the fact that the Lions held a double-digit lead for a majority of this game, and those numbers aren't any better, is kind of a tell-all at that point.
Yeah.
Why were the Lions giving the ball back when they were up when they had the lead late in this game? They couldn't run the ball. That's why. It's disappointing to see the amount of money that was invested into this running game over the years, the amount of assets invested into this running game over the years, and we finally feel like we've got a really good shot at it. We've got Ragnow in there. We've got Glasgow in a position that we got Ragnow, a future potential Pro Bowl center for this team, in his natural position at the center. We got Glasgow, who played a very capable guard in years past. We've got Decker back fully healthy. We've got Rick Wagner back fully healthy. And we still can't run the football against the Cardinals. This isn't the vaunted Bears defense here. This is the Arizona Cardinals in week 1. That's disappointing and was a big negative in this game, and one of the reasons I never quite felt totally comfortable in this game, because we couldn't hold the ball long enough to keep our defense off the field in the second half. Now, Andrew, let's I'm going to kick it over to you here.
I mean, you're 100% right, but and I think that was the biggest negative for me. That the takeaway was, and I think part of it was how high I was coming in riding, how high I was riding on Kerryon Johnson coming into this game, and what I thought this run game could be with C.J. Anderson and Kerryon, two completely different running backs, and what I perceive to be a very good offensive line. But yes, I agree that's a big negative here, is the fact that we weren't able to get the run going. But a couple ones I wanted to hit on. I'm going to do two because they're both smaller ones. One was just the punt returns, specifically Jamal Agnew. Pretty sure I saw him up a punt twice in this game. One
the return game.
One punt he literally ran backwards. I mean, I don't know.
He muffed a punt in this game where he straight up missed the ball. He tried to start running before he caught it, leading to the Cardinals to get the ball in field goal range, like not just in field goal range, but inside the red zone, which the Lions held him to a field goal, if I recall, but unacceptable if you're a former Pro Bowl return man. And then I saw him muff a kick return also, where he missed the ball in the end zone, Luckily, it just became a touchback,
Yeah.
but gotta have better hands than that as a return man. You just have to.
And then I think the glaring one that I feel like a lot of listeners are probably thinking of right now is the clock management, specifically the one instance where a little under 3 minutes to go, we had the ball 3rd and 5, right near midfield. Ball gets snapped. Jay McKissick runs around the offensive line, kind of like a dump off, and easily gets the first down with room to go. But
He was basically gone.
Yeah, but whistles start blowing lines to call a timeout. Now, the Cardinals were out of timeouts. We were playing to milk the clock. We were playing to just run the clock down, ice the game. Why a timeout would have been called there, on first glance, is beyond me. But then people have been saying they were afraid they were going to get a snap off in time, stuff like that. But like, I don't.
Well, that was the moment you saw phone ringing. That was the moment you saw Stafford look over to the sideline screaming,
Yeah.
"Trust me,
Exactly.
trust me." Clearly, he wasn't on the same page with his coaching, with his coaching staff.
And they trusted him earlier. Remember, there was one play where we thought he was just where we thought they were just trying to draw him off sides, and Stafford started doing all these started yelling all his players, they get on the sideline and like, oh my god, they're gonna call timeout now, and then they drew him off sides. I'm like, just let him stay. But no, so yeah, you don't like. It's kind of hard to speculate on what a game could have been, but it's hard to think that they would have been able to continue to pull off this comeback. Hey, we got another first down, be able to ice the game.
Not only another first down, but I'm pretty
You're
confident.
icing it for another 2 minutes now.
Not only another first down, but I'm pretty confident J.D. McKissick was going to the house on that play.
Yeah.
He was around the entire defense. He was gone. He was going to the crib.
But at a minimum, you're shaving another 2 minutes off the clock because you don't have timeouts.
I'm actually going to take your negative and I'm going to piggyback off of it and group it all in together as coaching.
Okay.
I thought coaching killed us in this game. And one was a big reason why we ended up not winning this ball game. And granted, we didn't lose, but we didn't win it either. And I'm going to take coaching on both sides of the football.
Okay.
All right. And you'll like what I'm going to do here.
Okay.
I'm obviously going to focus on the
You're going to
lines
make a trade.
here.
You're going to put Kingsbury in the lines and you give them Matt Patricia.
No.
Oh.
Big negative for me was coaching this game. Reason being in starting with that timeout call, not trusting your quarterback. Your quarterback knows what the play clock is.
Yeah.
Your quarterback should be the one to call the timeout in that situation. If he sees play clock running down and he's not ready to snap the ball, he's the guy that needs to be calling the timeout there, not a coach on the sidelines. That's his job. If he takes a delay a game, that's on him. It's unacceptable for a coach on the sidelines, but I don't even think it was Patricia that called the timeout. Might have been. But it is unacceptable for a coach to be calling that timeout on that sidelines there. It is. Unless it's a situation where it's obvious where the coach is next to the ref, waiting for the clock to go down, and then he tells him timeout right in his ear, that's different. But when the play clock is running down like that, it's on the quarterback to either get the football snapped or call timeout.
Yeah.
And that's how it needs to be. Secondly, the defensive game plan late in this game was horrible, and I mentioned it. And I mentioned it in at the beginning, at the top of the show. To go into bend don't break defense on one drive late in the fourth, or in the beginning of the fourth quarter, and to see it fail miserably, and then to go back into it, it's quite literally the definition of insanity. Of why keep trying to do something trying to do the same thing that does it unsuccessfully repeatedly and not changing it at all. That's the definition of insanity. Like, that's what it is. So for them to continue running this bend, don't break, prevent defense throughout the entire fourth quarter as the Cardinals are continuously putting up points and drawing ever so closer, Paul Pasqualoni and Matt Patricia need to sit down and say, we can't let this happen. They scored on us once in prevent. We need to go back to what was working early in this game and stop these guys. We need to get the ball back in our offense's hands and win this game by TOP. With time of possession. If the Lions are able to force a 3-and-out or force them to get a few first downs and then force them to either kick a field goal instead of scoring or force a punt, that's better than bending but not breaking in my mind, because that's putting the ball back in your offense's hands with the clock winding down, no timeouts for the Cardinals or whatever, 1 or 2 timeouts, make them burn them, and you can control clock at that point. It's much easier to control the clock with your offense than the defense, obviously.
Yeah.
It's unacceptable for them to just throw prevent out for the entire fourth quarter from literally top of the fourth quarter to the end for them to run that prevent defense the entire time when it was very clearly not working. And then the offensive game plan in the second half was absolutely horrible. We said it. We literally even called it out at the halftime, are the Lions just going to go and take the foot off the gas and just try to coast like they've done so many times before and blow this lead? And guess what? They did.
And look at me, the naive one here. I was like, no, there's no way. They're playing well. They're going to keep it going. No.
It drove me nuts. I was getting increasingly mad. And then I'm going to throw one more out here.
I don't think they really coasted until like the middle of the fourth quarter. I thought they really started taking the foot off
They
the gas,
couldn't score. They couldn't score the football.
They
needed to score the football.
Mm-hmm.
Going on the other side of the other sideline here, the Cardinals. I was incredibly pissed off with the way Cliff Kingsbury handled that overtime.
Oh yeah, no.
I am sorry, but this is the NFL, and I don't know about you, but I don't ever play not to win. I play to win the game. I don't play to tie. I play to win. So when you're at the 45-yard line with a minute left on the clock, no timeouts on either side of the football, and it's 4th down and 6 or whatever it was, why are you punting? I don't care if it means that if you don't get it, it's a better shot for you to lose this game. You guarantee that you will not win this game by punting. Granted, they technically almost did because of almost a pick 6, but still, that's luck. You go for it, you get it, you win. You don't, you better have your defense hold them, otherwise you lose. But you do not play for a damn tie. Jesus. Anyways,
I mean, I feel you're there. I mean, I guess I do get that. Like you're right. He was playing not to lose because he was afraid.
He's playing a tie.
It's a rookie quarterback. You don't really trust him to make that play, and
I don't care.
But you're right. You gotta trust your guys.
It's the NFL.
You gotta trust your guys. This
is the NFL. Trust your guys to make it happen. You play to win the damn game. That's why we make our money.
But let's move on. Let's move on to some positives. I guess I'll start this one. I think the biggest positive for me, the biggest takeaway was just the offensive play calling. Joe Bell was played
in the first half. In the first half.
It wasn't bad in the third quarter either. I really like the creativity.
It was a lot more conservative in the second half than the first half.
I really like the creativity of what he was doing. First of all, I like the production that it resulted in, specifically for guys like T.J. Hawkinson, for Matthew Stafford in particular. I thought Stafford had
one of his better games that he's had in recent years. There's no question about that.
And then Amendola impressed me. I mean, Amendola really impressed me in the slot.
He's one of those guys that just finds a way to get open.
He does.
He's a lot like Edelman in that respect.
That one play where he juked the corner out of his shoes. Oh, my God.
One guy I was actually a little bit disappointed with, and I'm going to piggyback off yours with the offense here. I was impressed with Stafford. That's a big positive for me. I was definitely impressed with T.J. Hawkinson. He had himself a damn ball game. And Danny Amendola had himself a damn ball game. But I was actually a little bit disappointed with our top two receivers. Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay just seemed to kind of be not there. I know Kenny Golladay caught the touchdown. I know that. But he was kind of less than stellar, and Marvin Jones same way in a game that I felt like both those guys should have been able to take advantage of the fact that P squared wasn't there. No Peterson. They got to show up and show out and make something happen.
I like Marvin Jones on the plus side. He did catch all of his targets. There were only 4 of them, and a couple of those are really nice.
He wasn't getting open.
A couple of them were really nice grabs too. Galladay, on the other hand, he went 4 for 9, 9 targets, 4 catches.
Now, granted, some of that was on Stafford. He did miss some throws,
but. I don't know. I guess you could really think about like the couple really nice catches that Marvin Jones made because they were in traffic, which again couldn't get open. So
I think Marvin Jones had struggles getting open in this game, and he needs to be better than that. And I think Galladay needs to show himself as a true number 1 receiver in this game because this is the year where he needs to take that step up. I was definitely thoroughly impressed with T.J. Hawkinson. Incredible performance for his first game as a pro.
What are you expecting from moving forward? Are you expecting more of this?
I think this is kind of like a dream scenario. You'll see flashes of this at times, but you can't expect this out of a tight end, let alone a rookie tight end.
I know. Where do you think he finishes in terms of yardage and touchdowns? Like, do you think we get 700 yards out of him, 800 yards?
I'd be happy with about 600 to 700 yards, maybe 4 or 5 touchdowns and 60 catches. I'd be very happy with that. He's already almost there. Yeah. Not quite almost, but he's getting there. But I was definitely happy with Amendola. I was happy with the leadership I saw in the field at times. I would have liked to see a little bit more Jesse James. just considering what we spent on him in the offseason. But when you have T.J. Hawkinson playing the way he did, it doesn't hurt.
If the usage continues, I'm not just saying the production, just the usage itself, where he had 9 targets last game. If that continues, I'd actually expect an 800-yard season out of him. But
I don't expect that kind of usage. I don't expect that kind of usage, considering I don't think the Cardinals are very good against tight ends.
That I'm not sure. I can't really comment on that. But
another positive, I'm going to give some props to the defense in the first half. The defense in the first half was stellar.
Snacks wasn't too happy with himself.
No, Snacks was not happy with his game. But Mike Daniels had a great game. Jelani Tavai had a great game. I mean, a great game for Tavai. Both of our top 2 rookies in this game panned out. It looked real good. I was very impressed with the defense in the first half. Very impressed.
I remember you were telling me you were getting Troy Polamalu vibes from Jelani Tavai.
Just the way he was lined up and he looked
with the hair coming out, and it just vibes. I didn't say it was Troy Polamalu. I just gave you those vibes.
It was reminiscent of some Troy Polamalu looks. Yes, and if he can pan out to be even something close, or even 70 to 80% of what Troy Polamalu was, you got yourself a stud. But I was definitely impressed with the way that the defense performed in the first half. Obviously, the game plan changed in the second half, and they were beat a little bit more. But in the first half in particular, I thought they were very effective. They were very aggressive going after the ball, made good tackles, smart plays, and made things happen. So I was definitely happy with that.
Oh, absolutely. So coming up next, we got the Chargers on week 2. I think that one's at home, if I'm not mistaken. But what do you expect? Are we 0-2?
The Chargers are a very good team. However, the Chargers are a banged-up team.
They are a banged-up team.
They know Melvin Gordon, granted that's not by injury. No Derwin James. That's a big loss. They're a banged-up team. And Phillip Rivers in week 1 looked less than Phillip Rivers-like. Looked a little more human. He's a very good quarterback, though, so do not take him lightly. He's a good quarterback. Rivers, in my opinion, just looked kind of old. But I do think the Lions I do think it's a winnable game. It's a lot more winnable than I thought it was, and when the schedule was originally announced. Because the Chargers are just not as good of a team as they were then. They don't have their top 5 running back. They don't have their top 5 safety. That's 2 big losses right there, and then with the added fact that Phillip Rivers may be slowing down a little bit, it makes that game look a little bit easier. Now, I still think Chargers are the favorite here. They are still, in my opinion, the better team. I think they have the better quarterback.
What's the?
I have no idea. I don't even know if lines have been released yet. Okay. But they've got the better quarterback. I think they've got the better playmakers in the field. Eckler looked real good, so there's that to worry about.
Eckler looked real good.
And the defense for the Chargers, I still think, is better than ours as well. They're a good football team. The Lions are going to have some. This is going to be a really tough test for them. There's one matchup I'm going to look at a lot. It's going to be how effective the Lions' pass rush is, because Phillip Rivers is not a guy who can escape the pocket. He's not.
Let's just do something fun though, real quick.
All right.
If you could put a spread on this right now,
I'd say Chargers minus 5.5.
It's currently at Chargers minus 2.5.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. So
I guess that makes a little more sense considering the Chargers did look very pedestrian in week 1, so that does make a little more sense.
It actually opened at minus 3, and it's been
bet down
to minus 2.5.
Okay.
And then
you have to add. Okay. I'm a little harsh.
Yeah.
Chargers minus 4.5. That would be my line for this game. I don't think the Lions quite earn the respect enough, because remember, we're talking about the Cardinals that we just tied here. We're not talking about the Chicago Bears or Minnesota Vikings.
I would be a lot less upset about this if we had kept up with a team and tied them, like a good team, like if we had
like the Vikings. If we had played the Vikings in week 1 and tied them, I'd feel a little bit better about this, and I would say we're a better football team.
We played well for most of the game and all that, but like that, just playing well is not enough when you're going against a team like the Cardinals.
Right.
Playing well and tying, I'll take the moral victory on that one. All right, but against a good team, I'm saying.
Right, but that wasn't the case in this one. So, but anyways,
switch over real quick to hoops.
Obviously, there's you guys are always welcome to give us your thoughts on Twitter there. But that's kind of our thoughts about what happened in week 1. Are you predicting a Lions victory this week, Andrew?
I am not compelled to do so, no.
I'm going to be right there with you. I think the Lions don't quite pull this one out.
I'm not so sure about that.
Let's go ahead and switch on over to hoops. Recent reports, obviously last week, Joe Johnson was visiting the Pistons and discussing trying to make a comeback. He's had a very big performance in the Big Three league and has really kind of shown he's still got it. And the Pistons have been a team that's been so he's trying to make an NBA comeback, and the Pistons have been a team that's been interested in bringing him in. And Andrew, I wanted to get your thoughts on whether or not you would like to see Joe Johnson in a Pistons uniform.
Yeah,
and what you think chances are they get him?
Yeah, so real quick, courtesy of the Ringer, specifically Noah Kozlov, I believe his name is pronounced. He told SiriusXM NBA that from what I'm hearing, Detroit is a favorite to land Joe Johnson. Now, obviously, Joe Johnson's not a young guy. He's, 38, 39 years old.
He's an old dude.
But what I do, and you can only take Big Three performances with a grain of salt. Yes, he averaged nearly 22 points per game.
38, to be exact.
He averaged nearly 22 points per game in the Big Three. I can't really bank on that kind of point production. Obviously, it's the Big Three. It's 3-on-3 basketball. Totally different thing.
You're playing against 45-year-olds.
Exactly. However, the one thing I take away from his Big Three performance that I actually think could still translate to the NBA, that I think would be a great fit for the Pistons, specifically coming off the bench, was his three-point shooting. He shot 39% from three in the Big Three. I said three a lot. He shot 39% from outside. And one thing the Pistons really lack is three-point shooting. I mean, we have Kennard, but I still feel...
Hey, Andre Drummond, telling you.
I still feel like our bench needs more of a scoring boost. I don't know how long Derrick Rose is going to last. I don't know what version of Mike Beasley we're getting. Obviously, I don't know what version of Joe Johnson we're going to be getting, but any outside shooting I can get on this bench, I'd relish. So I'm assuming he'd be willing to sign for like the vet min. I'll be happy to have Joe Johnson come off the bench for us.
I'm actually going to agree with you. I actually like the idea of Joe Johnson coming off the bench because, one, it adds wing depth to this team, which is something we desperately still need. I know we made a free agent signing in Tony Snell. Or a trade. Was it a trade? I think it was a trade. I know we brought in Tony Snell, and I know we drafted Sekou Doumbouya, but much like in baseball when it comes to prospects, bringing somebody up too early and relying on them a little too early can stunt their growth more than it can help them. And that's what I feel like is the case with Sekou Doumbouya. I'd rather allow him to develop behind the scenes a little bit. Maybe next year start to play him a little bit more. But this year I don't want to see 15 minutes a game of him.
Yeah.
If I can have Joe Johnson shooting 39% from outside, or even 36 or 37% from outside, playing 15 minutes a game at the wing, that's some very much needed added depth in scoring, especially in terms of shooting, coming off the bench that this Pistons team lacks big time and has in years past. I would thoroughly welcome Joe Johnson coming here and doing just that for that reason. It allows Sekou Doumbouya to develop at his own pace instead of being rushed. It allows him to, not get eaten by wolves, going and jumping right into an NBA lineup here. I just much prefer that route than forcing a guy into an uncomfortable situation that he's just not ready for. And it allows the Pistons to add depth, which would for obvious reasons make the team better. They had a very good offseason. I feel like this would add to that. I don't know if Joe Johnson can even still play. I don't. Yeah. But if he's able to shoot 36, 37% from outside and play 10, 15 minutes a game, I will welcome that with open arms any day of the week.
I'm not expecting the ISO part of ISO Joe to be to make it.
No, I think ISO Joe is now more of a...
ISO Joe still works in 3-on-3.
Ice my knees Joe. That's more what it is now. It's Ice my knees Joe.
ISO sore Joe.
There you go. That's a high five for that. That's a good one. ISO sore Joe. I like that. That's a good one right there. But no, I would welcome it, provided he's able to keep the outside shooting and he's willing to sign for a vet min, because it's added depth along the wing that we do kind of really still need.
And before you toss this off as this is going to mean nothing if we sign him. So I was trying to think about what would make us the front runners to sign Joe Johnson, and because we have 14 guaranteed contracts on the roster already, there's only one roster spot.
Well, there's a couple reasons that would make us a front runner to sign him.
Well, from my perspective, in order to make us front runners, we would have had to say, if you sign with us, you will get that 15 spot. We're not going to cut you.
Right.
To me, if we sign him, yes, he's going to make the team. So I would throw that thought out the window to begin with. But I would think he wants to go to the place that gives him the most opportunity to play. So I do think if we were to sign Joe Johnson, he is actually going to factor into our rotation quite a bit. I would think 18 to 22 a game, 22 minutes a game.
I would think lower than that. I would think probably 10 to 15. I don't think we'd expect to see.
Well, I'm just taking into account our wing depth. We don't.
I'd still say 10 to 15. I don't even think Sekou Doumbouya would play 18 to 22 minutes a game right now.
I don't think Sekou's going to play 18 to 22.
Well, I would think if we don't add someone else, he may have to. He may have to play 10 to 15. I would expect to see somewhere in the realm of 10 to 15, maybe 10 to 17 minutes a game on average for Joe Johnson, and I'd be perfectly happy with that, and I think he would be happy with that as well. I think some of the things that are enticing to him are obviously probably guaranteed play time.
Yeah.
2, I believe if I recall, Arntelm is his former agent. There is already a developed. There's a relationship already there. So with the connection with the Pistons, so we already kind of is like the inside track almost. But also, it looks like a situation where he could go and potentially maybe win some ball games, maybe make the playoffs and have that experience once again. It just seems like a situation where he can go, get some play time, already has a relationship with the front office, so it allows them to have a better connection and play some basketball at the highest level once again.
So just looking at the small forward position here, we got. So right now with guaranteed contracts, we got Svi Mykhailiuk, we have Sekou Doumbouya, Tony Snell. I don't know if Beasley's contract is guaranteed just yet.
I think he's a 4 anyways.
So, but
pretty sure he's a 4 anyways.
He plays both. He plays 3-4.
Yeah, you're gonna see him more at the 4 because we really don't have a backup 4.
I think I agree there. But anyway, with guaranteed
outside of Keith.
So let's call it
outside
this.
of Keith.
Guaranteed contracts to the 3: Tony Snell, Svi Mykhailiuk, Sekou Doumbouya. I personally don't know what kind of playing time to expect for guys like Svi and Sekou. I'm not expecting much.
I'm not either.
Any depth we can get there,
and that's kind of what I was saying is I need to see, we need more depth at that position because I really don't want to see.
I'm not trying to play Tony Snell 38 minutes a game.
I really don't want to see Markieff Morris playing the 3. It didn't go well last time he did, and I don't want to see Michael Beasley playing the 3 either. So, and frankly, if you can tell me that we can bring in 10 to 15 minutes of Joe Johnson to give Tony Snell instead of 38 minutes, have him play 32 minutes, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with that. Maybe you throw Svi Mykhailiuk in for 2-3 minutes a game, get him some legs out there, Sekou every now and then. That's fine.
If they trust him to give him enough to give him playing time,
right. That's what I'm saying. Though,
nothing outside of garbage
maybe
time.
Maybe you see him in 2-3 minute spurts to just give somebody at the end of a quarter, start of a quarter, to give somebody a chance to get ready, or to take an extra couple minutes to rest, or to to draw up a play or something. That allows those guys to get in there for 2-3 minutes, and then you have Snell in there for 30-32 minutes, maybe 28 to 32 minutes, and then Joe Johnson in for a majority of the rest. I mean, that's still in that 10 to 18 minute range there. So, and that's where I would hope that Joe Johnson would be effective and where we would put him in there, and hopefully he would do well. I think it's a good fit. I really do.
And so the only other thing, and this is kind of the flip side of what you were saying, would be the benefit of giving a guy like Sekou basically like a redshirt year. Do you think there is a chance that this could be a negative in effect that you could potentially stunt the growth of a guy like Sekou or Svi for not giving him as much playing time as could be needed growth? Because you saw that with Darko. We didn't let him out there. But
Darko was a bust from the beginning.
Yeah.
Chauncey Billups came out and said it right away that he knew it on the second practice that this guy sucked. In terms, and I'm going to say no, and I'll use the baseball reference once again. Guys are able to develop in other ways. You don't need to play them in games to develop them at the big leagues. Frankly, playing them at the big leagues right away isn't good for them. And a guy who, granted, now basketball prospects and rookies are usually a lot more developed than your baseball prospects right away. They're also usually a lot older.
Yeah.
I think this is a case where I am okay with him maybe developing in the G League for a year or developing just in practices and workouts for the year. I don't need to see that many minutes of Sekou Doumbouya to still have a lot of faith in him for the future. Look at Pascal Siakam. He hardly played, and when he did play, he wasn't good. And frankly, I don't see a reason why... And now he's very good. And frankly, I don't see a reason why we need to play him to continue to develop this player when we've proven that you don't need to. Eventually, you need to say, all right, you got to play. And if he's not developing by then, well, then you failed at your draft pick and failed to develop him. But you don't necessarily need to play him and throw him into the wolves and say, here, go get him when he's not ready. That's not good for that type of player. It hurts their confidence. It hurts the mental aspect of their game.
All right, I want to throw one more thing out there to close out the show.
All right.
One more fun little query.
Query.
The year is 2012. I'm trying to think if Blake Griffin was in the league in 2012. He was. I think he was. Yeah, he was. You have on your team Blake Griffin, Arnie Drummond, Derrick Rose, Joe Johnson. How are you feeling?
I'm on top of the world. You kidding me? I got an electrifying big in Blake Griffin. I got an MVP in Derrick Rose. And I got Joe Johnson, who's quite literally ISO Joe in his heyday. Yeah,
and a very hyped up and coming big in Arnie Drummond.
Very hyped up and coming big, albeit very raw in Andre Drummond. Hell yeah, I'm happy about that.
Also, very hyped guy, Michael Beasley. I'm pretty sure he was drafted
at
before.
the time. So he never really panned out. But no, I would say I'm extremely ecstatic about that lineup. Like, heck yeah! I'm
just wanted to do it for fun.
I'm going to bed instead of counting sheep. I'm counting rings as they go across my eyelids. Okay. But on that note, that's going to be it for this week, guys. We thank you so much for listening. Sorry about not posting one last week. It was just a stupid busy week last week. We just weren't even able to get together and record.
It was also a short
with
week
a mixture of
it
was a short week for us last week, considering we were going out of town too. So, but anyways, guys, catch you next week. Hit us up on Twitter at @RealFanReport if you have any questions, comments about the Lions game, Pistons, whatever. Follow us on our live show page Mondays and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern. www.twitch.tv/thefanreport, and we will catch you guys next week. Thank you so much. This has been the Fan Reporters by fans.
For fans.
Thank you guys again, Andrew, and thank you. We'll catch you guys next week. Have a good one.
Peace.